Welcome back. So the state Supreme Court's decision means this congressional map will stand until it's redrawn in 2031, and lawmakers are kind of already looking towards that date. During the last two legislative sessions, lawmakers proposed asking voters if they would like to create an independent redistricting commission. That idea hasn't gotten too far in the last two sessions, despite pretty broad public support. Didi, the committee that Justice Chavez chaired, the CRC, it only had an advisory role. They didn't draw the maps themselves. What are the arguments for and against an independent commission that actually gets to draw the maps rather than the lawmakers?
Well, there's a question of who do you want to draw the maps? That's what you're really asking. Do you want the legislature to draw the maps? Do you want the courts to draw the maps? And remember, we're talking in the last segment, the courts have drawn the maps now in the past 30 years. Or do you want a truly independent, nonpartisan commission to draw the maps? And of course, there's a question as to how to select that independent commission. But the arguments are in terms of having an independent commission is that the legislature is always going to fall into the trap of having the majority party draw the map that they like to maximize their influence. And they're always going to draw the map to protect incumbents and to not pair incumbents.
But in 2007, you stepped out and supported an independent commission with Senator McSorley and
Yes.
Senator Adair, despite the fact that you were in the majority.
Yes.
And you saw the benefit.
Because I think it's a fair thing to do. Getting back to the idea of making sure that every person's vote counts, and we have competitive districts, so we don't have the great partisan divide that we have now. Because when you have a map where there are safe districts, and safe districts for 10 years, then those people that run in those districts don't appeal to the middle. They appeal to the extremes. The only time they can be taken out is in a primary. And the same for the other side. So what happens is you have a shrinking number of swing seats and a more partisan, acrimonious legislature for that reason.
With worse and worse candidates. I mean, the less competitive it is, the worse product you get, just like anything else.
Because you don't need to appeal as much.
Right.
Yeah.
You're in a safe seat.
So
you don't have to
lawmakers
run.
are going to try to introduce another version of this joint resolution this coming year, next month, in the 2024 session. Justice Chavez, what will that effort look like this time around, and can we expect any kind of different result? I mean, it hasn't gotten out of committee.
It has not gotten out of committee, but this will be different than the previous efforts. The CRC, I think it did good work, but the bottom line is how the members were selected was all wrong. Then allowing, I think, the legislature at the end not to just choose amongst the maps, but could do their own thing was also a mistake and criticized. What we would do differently now is it would be a 9-member, 3 Democrats, 3 Republicans, 3 who are not affiliated with either the Democratic or Republican Party. The selection process is a little bit elaborate. We would have the Secretary of State who would publish applications, solicit applications, review applications, and then with the assistance of a demographer and statistics, would take a look at the demographics and geographics of our state and make the selections. We think that process is going to allow us to have across-the-board representation. We only had 1 female on the committee. All of us were basically from Albuquerque, 1 from...
And no indigenous representation.
No indigenous representation, 3 applicants. They were not selected. We definitely want to see if that can happen. And so this would be the process. Then the Secretary of State would vet the applications, randomly select 120 in a live showing with somebody they have contracted with. They would send that then to leadership. They would each get 3 strikes, basically. We don't want this person, whatever. It would then go back to the secretary, who would then randomly select 6 members of the commission. Those 6 members would then look at the applications, thinking about the geography and the demographics of our state, would try to balance that commission by selecting the remaining 3.
It's an involved vetting process.
It is an involved vetting process, but I think it maximizes the opportunity for there to be representation from throughout the state and also
It
racial.
maybe responds to the feedback from lawmakers that they want a say in who sits on this commission, or they want to be the folks that draw the map because it's a small bit of the power that they do have.
It gives them an opportunity to at least strike some who they would think would not be good on the commission.
This is a truly unique suggestion, to have a randomly selected commission.
Pull out the phone book. Statewide, right? We'll do better than.
Well, there are
than Senate leadership?
qualifications and disqualifications in,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah, there are
resolution.
some safeguards.
I appreciate your hard work on this.
If let's say 2031 comes around, when the map is going to be redrawn again, and the lawmakers are still drawing it, right? That would be that the independent commission never came to be in 2031. Justine, if that's the case, did this year's Supreme Court ruling kind of basically draw a roadmap for gerrymandering just enough without also getting busted?
It did, yeah. I mean, I think the Republicans made some bad law, and maybe they would do things differently, but they had to work with what they had to work with in the courts. It's such a complicated issue, and I mean, Justice Chavez gets at 2 of the main factors driving. I mean, you want expertise, but you also want representation. And I will say, Nash, we do redistricting statewide in cities, school boards, counties, kind of in the shadows, and it's done pretty well. I mean, this is a process that it's not really that complicated when you take the data and go do it. But once you really have representation, everybody's got a different viewpoint, a different motive, and that's how we kind of want the process to work. I mean, that's why the federal court says these claims aren't justiciable in federal court. We don't, in essence, in some cases, want the courts deciding. This should be representative democracy playing out. But it becomes very hard when you look at a state like New Mexico, where you have so much variation geographically, urban, rural, racially, socioeconomically, et cetera, to account for all that in a commission, or to account for all that across the Supreme Court. And so we're struggling with that. But I do think it's a precedent that's going to be hard to get around. Dee Dee raised an issue of race, and race was not really interjected into this lawsuit. As far I wasn't in it, but not publicly. There were some comments made, about the Congressional District 2 in the legislative process about making that district much more Hispanic. And I think the Republicans could have seized on that and said, we're going to bring a different kind of claim. And I think that, to get back to your question, I think that's kind of where this is going to drive us. If you're going to have success on redistricting suits, it's going to have to be, you're not going to get there on partisan gerrymandering. We got to look at the nuts and bolts.
If that's a potential Republican strategy for this suit, and they didn't go that way, I do want to kind of stick on that in terms of this upcoming election next year. Do Republicans need to change their strategy in order to respond to a map that now leans Democratic in all three?
I wasn't part of the legal team. I don't speak for the Republican Party, but I think nationwide, you will see people going back to look at that because you have more room to argue in the courts and more likelihood of success. In this case, Mimi Stewart had, I believe, said on the floor, we're taking this district from a 50.6% Hispanic district to 54 to 56, and that is part of our goal. Okay, well, that may be enough to get started with a lawsuit. I don't know why they didn't take it that direction, but yeah, I would expect to see that.
Well, that was one of the criteria that your committee was allowed to consider, the ethnic makeup of districts, and I think that is a valid criteria. Because,
No, and I don't disagree.
Yeah, well, it is key because the Supreme Court has said that partisan gerrymandering is a state affair, but racial gerrymandering is a federal affair.
To the extent it
And-
becomes exclusive,
Thank
right?
you all so
And-
much.
Yeah.
I appreciate the robust conversation here. Dee Dee Feldman, former Justice Ed Chavez, and former Representative Justine Fox Young. Thank you all for sitting around the table today.